Chapter 8. Friday mid-morning. Slowly Doreen wandered back to the house and wondered if she should tell Mac about Steve. She'd already emailed him earlier, but it made sense to double-check if he was coming for pork chops tonight. Just the thought of barbecue pork chops, well, maybe not barbecue since she didn't have a barbecue pit, or any version of pork chops, made her mouth water. Without questioning herself, she hit the speed dial for Mac and waited for him to answer. His answering machine got the call instead. Frowning, she wondered if that meant he was in a meeting, or if he was off on another case. The thought of being on another case so soon almost filled her with fatigue. At the same time, though, her interest spiked. Since Crystal's case potentially connected to however many more cases, Mac could still have a mess of paperwork to do, interviews to attend, and loose ends to tie up in each and every one of those cases. He was probably too darn busy to answer the phone. She hung up without leaving a message. Her phone rang as she walked to her small deck. It was Mac's mother, Millicent. "Could you please come tomorrow instead of today?" Millicent asked fretfully. "I do love your visits, but I have to go out this morning for doctor's appointments. I'd prefer to stay home, but I have to go see them." "Oh, no problem," Doreen said gaily. "I can come Saturday morning." Not an issue. Mentally, she was pleased to have the spare time today. It would allow her to work on her house instead. Inside now, she settled on toast with cheese for her breakfast, and then walked into the living room and stared at the boxes of folders. If she got into those, she would never finish the kitchen. She wanted the kitchen done before Mac got here for dinner tonight. So she pushed the boxes of files farther along the wall to the side of the front door, so Mac wouldn't trip as he stepped inside with his hands full of grocery bags, blocking his view of the floor. Then, with a cleared space, she emptied everything from the kitchen into the living room. It was the only way she could sort through it all. She started with the cupboards under the stove and worked her way all the way around. By the time she had everything emptied, Thaddeus sat on top of the turkey roaster. He squawked at her and she smiled. "Better watch it," she said. "I might get ideas if you sit on that." He squawked again, then flapped his wings and hopped off. She chuckled and came back with another load of baking dishes of all shapes and sizes. She'd love to learn how to bake, but at the moment, all cooking was just this big mystery. Plus, some of these pans looked like they had big holes in them. She didn't understand what they were for. They didn't look like muffins or donuts. It said cake pops on the side. She shook her head, not knowing what that was or why Nan would care. By the time Doreen was done moving everything, once again, her living room was full of stuff. She groaned. "Nan, this is ridiculous. You collected way too much stuff. Especially considering you hardly ever cooked." But with that done, she scrubbed all the cupboards both inside and outside, the countertops and the windows. The fridge itself was mostly empty, but she gave it a good scrub too. The only item she didn't scrub was the stove, as it was brand new. So she had the floor and the window by the table to clean next. When she was done, she stood here, mop still in hand, and smiled at her critters. "Ta-da," she said. "I'm done." She went to put away her cleaning supplies, remembering she still had the rest of that front hall closet to do. She looked back at the living room and all the canned food and dishes she had to sort through, and shrugged. Better to get it all out now. Whether she sorted the contents right away or not, at least she would have everything finally emptied out of all the rooms and all the closets and all the cupboards. Thankfully, she had already done the pantry when Scott was last here. It took an incredible number of trips to empty the hall closet and set it all on the living room floor. She separated this pile to one side. That closet was deep. She knew Nan had warned her, but holy crap. An ancient vacuum cleaner was in the back. When she pulled it out, she found another sad-looking vacuum behind it. This one was a ball-like thing with lots of hoses attached. It looked like something out of a science fiction movie. Finally, the closet was empty. Yet, as she looked at the shelves, she groaned. It looked like they were all stained. She went back to the kitchen and grabbed what she needed, then started scrubbing. When she got up on a step stool to reach the top shelf, she found another attic doorway too. She'd already been up in the attic through the spare bedroom, so she had no clue where this led to. She looked closer and realized it led under the stairs. Frowning, she opened it by sliding the wood hatch to the side. It was awkward, because it was above the top shelf in this closet. As she tried to get up higher on the step stool, she realized the shelves came out. "Doreen, you're an idiot," she announced to anyone who cared to listen. Then she stepped back to the floor and removed the shelves completely, putting them in the kitchen so she could wipe them later, and moved the step stool inside the closet and grabbed her phone with its flashlight app to check what was up above. She found boxes. Boxes and boxes of boxes. She stared in dismay, wondering what the devil could possibly be in them. Then, as if understanding what she was up to, her phone rang. She switched it out of flashlight mode to answer the call. "Good morning, Nan," she said. "Oh my dear," Nan said. "It's almost noon." Doreen groaned. "I know, but I decided I would finish this job once and for all." "What job?" Nan asked in a perky tone. "Did you get another job?" "That's wonderful to hear." "No," Doreen said. "I'm cleaning everything inside the house. I just emptied all the cupboards and cleaned them along with the counters in the kitchen. I'm doing the last part of the house now, which is the hall closet. I've got it completely emptied out, and I was cleaning it when I found this little trapdoor hatch above it." "Is there?" Nan asked with curiosity. "What's up there?" Doreen stared down at the phone. "Nan, I think I'm supposed to ask you that question." "I don't know," Nan said in a testy voice. "It's almost as if you expect me to remember everything I did in that house over the last 40-odd years." "Sorry. I might be a little tired." "Time for another pot of coffee," Nan announced. "Really, you should take better care of yourself, dear." "I'm trying. That's why I'm doing this. So I can get everything cleaned up and feel good about it." "That's one way to look at it," Nan said. "But I think you should leave everything and come here for lunch." "Lunch?" Doreen asked hopefully. "Why lunch?" "Because we took a trip to the German bakery and delicatessen this morning. You know the one off Capri and Sutherland?" "Sure, I know that one. But I've never been in it. I assumed it was expensive." "Of course it's expensive." Nan laughed. Her voice was more of a trill than anything this morning. "But they have lovely stuff anyway. I picked up some really good rustic bread and bought meat and cheeses. I'm about to make a salad and some sandwiches. I want you to come and share the feast with me." "I'd love to," Doreen said, casting a glance at the living room. "No buts," Nan stepped in. "You can continue with all that when you get back." "You're right." And then her stomach growled. Nan laughed, apparently hearing the sound. "It sounds like you need to come soon. That stomach of yours is empty." "I'll be there in a little bit," Doreen said. She hung up and studied the boxes in the attic again, but she couldn't even begin to reach them. She'd need a ladder. Or someone tall. And of course, on that note, she thought of Mac, who was coming tonight for pork chops. She clambered off the step stool, surveyed everything she had done up until now, and smirked with satisfaction. "I may not have gotten you all sorted yet, but I feel proud." For half of the kitchen stuff, though, she might need Mac's help to tell her if she should keep any of this. Who knew how old some of the kitchen items were, and what she'd do with them? Then there were the canned goods. She'd never heard of canned potatoes before. She walked back into the kitchen, washed up, and then ran upstairs to the bedroom to switch out of her dirty clothes. She came back down to find the animals staring at her from the bottom of the stairs. She grinned. "You guys want to go to Nan's?" Muggs woofed and headed for the front door. She called them back. "Let's go by the creek," she said. "Come on." But first, she checked to make sure the front door alarm was still set and locked the back door. Then she headed to the creek to visit with Nan. It was one of the best parts of living here. Rekindling that relationship hadn't seemed important before, but that was when she had lived differently. It went along with that empty and hollow person she had been, who didn't know right from wrong, apparently. If she understood one thing now, it was how wrong it was to have ignored Nan. And how absolutely right it is to have her as close and as loving as she is now.